So welcome back again to our channel, and today we are going to discuss about a very important topic which is known as passage versus safe passage. In the recent orals, it was asked from a candidate to describe a passage and a safe passage in the ROR, and he was not able to do that properly, which led to the failure of a candidate in the oral. Now, what mistake he did of defining between a passage and a safe passage? Let us see what it is, and I will also be giving you examples so that it becomes crystal clear to you at the end of the video that what I'm trying to explain you over here. What is a passage? Basically, a passage is defined as a course and a speed followed by a vessel at that given time. If you think and imagine your ECDIS screen, it is nothing but it is just like this ship on your ECDIS screen, isn't it? You are given a fuel in your tanks and you are going in a particular direction, and that direction is shown by a vector, and the length of vector is what? It is the speed of a vessel, right? So it is nothing but it is basically a course which a vessel is following at a given time, and that is what is called a passage, right? So the definition of passage is nothing. It is basically defined as a course and speed followed by a vessel at a given time. So I've drawn a vessel. I have given a vessel a course of 0902, speed maybe 10 knots. So this is a vessel and there is a vector in the direction of 090. So that line which is there will be passage. Now, why ROR is defining another term called a safe passage? What was the significance of this? So, safe passage is defined as a passage followed by a vessel based on the margins of safety. Now, what is margins of safety? We will discuss later. And these margins of safety, after you have taken action, say for example, you were into ROC situation and you were taking action, and after taking action, whether you will be still staying within that margins of safety or not. Let me explain you in a very simple manner. Say for example, you are going and following a passage, and that passage is based on a margins of safety, right? There are some safety parameters which you need to take care of, and if there is a risk of collision during your passage and you are taking the action by either altering course or alteration of speed, such action shall not breach your margins of safety. You should play this game within your margins of safety, right? Now, what are margins of safety? Margins of safety, if a surveyor is asking, is obviously set by your passage plan, and passage plan is based on your company's, right, ISM procedures. On the basis of ISM procedures, your company has made a bridge procedure manual, and each company's bridge procedure manual is based on so many factors, right? Okay, so your passage plan is also part of that bridge procedure manual that you need to follow your passage plan. And your passage plan, where a second mate and a master and other officers will contribute so that we can decide our safety margins. So your passage plan is based on your company's ISM. It is also based on so many things like master standing orders, night orders, local regulation. Maybe you are in US waters, you need to follow their regulation, what they say. SOLAS. SOLAS can also be accountable for margins of safety because SOLAS chapter 5 is navigation. You also need to consider that because there are so many bridge equipments which are coming under SOLAS. Same goes for MARPOL. Your passage is also defined. Your safety margins of safety is also dependent on MARPOL. There are some areas that needs to be avoided, right? Weather. Sometimes you are going in a rough weather, and you also need to take that into consideration, because in a rough weather sometimes, or weather means not only the rough weather, the winds, it might be current also, where you are doing a particular course and your SOG is something else. So you need to take that also into account. Your UKC policy is also part of your passage plan, your air draft policy, ship's dynamic draft, on which a lot of things will depend. That is your safety settings in ECDIS. Also, ship's maneuvering diagram, right? How a ship is going to turn. If I'm doing a course of 090 and if I'm taking the action, whether I will be able to turn that vessel or not in that area, in that safe area. What is my advance? What is my transfer? So that factors will decide your margins of safety, right? Let me explain it to you. This is you standing on the bridge, and you, including master or OW, everybody who's standing on bridge needs to follow your bridge procedure manual, right? Okay, bridge procedure manual. Without it, you cannot do anything. And if you're not complying, it is a breach of your bridge procedure manual, which is a breach of your ISM, and it is a breach of a SOLAS, because ISM is a chapter of SOLAS, right? Understood? Second thing is your master standing order. What masters want from you when you're standing there, right? What is a TCPA or a CPA you need to keep will also decide your safety margins, right? Master standing order, which he writes when he is not present on the bridge and he wants something specific from you, then he's going to write those 9 orders, will also decide your margins of safety, right? Right. Okay. And then, of course, the local regulation, you also need to abide by the local regulation. You can't ignore them, right? Maybe you are into a channel, and in that channel, you need to maintain a certain speed to be safe, or you need to give way to a vessel as per a local regulation. So you need to look into that also, which will also decide your safety margins, right? Then comes SOLAS chapter 5, which has a lot of things, right? Ship routing or reporting system or VTS, you need to abide by that, right? There are a lot of things like bridge equipments. Maybe one of your bridge equipment is not working. So you need to decide your safety margins according to that. Maybe your speed log is not working, right? Correct. Also, there is something called a seaworthiness of a ship, and there is three kind of seaworthiness, as I've already told you in my videos. So you might not be fulfilling the technical seaworthiness or a voyage seaworthiness. So your safety margins will also depend on that. MARPOL, very, very important. Your safety margins will also depend on what kind of areas you're transiting, where you are doing your passage, right? It will also depend on that. Like in Australia, Great Barrier Reef, you cannot just enter a Great Barrier Reef just like that. So you need to decide your safety margins accordingly. Okay. Weather. Weather is also a very important factor deciding your safety margins. As I told you, the current might be pushing your wind. Like in this case, a container ship has a large windage area and he might be pushed on one side. You need to take care of that also, right? Plus, in heavy weather, you need to pass the other ship at the widest of the margins, because you might get drifted towards that ship. Plus, it is not easy in rough weather to maintain your steerage. It is very, very difficult. So you need to keep that also into your mind to decide margins of safety. Then comes your UKC policy and how you're going to set shallow contour or a safety contour or safety depth. Okay. And that will decide your margins of safety according to your dynamic draft or a tide. You will also take into consideration the wheelhouse poster, because I told you maneuverability of a vessel, turning ability, advanced transfer, you need to look into that factor also, because you might not be able to turn a vessel. Say for example, you're doing a course of 090 and you need to turn a vessel within say 3 nautical miles. Okay, then you see your wheelhouse poster. Okay, and you know that, okay, my turning within this speed, I might be able to turn the vessel within few cables, 5 cables or 6 cable, depending on the other circumstances. Okay, then you will say, yes, I'm safe, I can turn the vessel. Okay, so this is very, very important. The wheelhouse poster you should always refer to whenever you're going on a bridge, and try to memorize it, so that you know at what speed you can turn your vessel, and it becomes very, very handy when you are doing a very heavy traffic density areas. So now you must have seen this, right? You must have seen this definitely. And this is what this is what this is your margins of safety. When you put in everything in your ECDIS, there is a box and it is called as a look ahead feature. Look ahead feature on ECDIS. And what does this look ahead feature does? It will always help you out. Okay, it will always help you out that whether your vessel is still in the margins of safety, it is playing within the margin of safety or not. Okay, and it is warning you also, and giving you warnings regarding the areas which are dangerous to your ship. Let it be a navigation hazard or let it be any target vessel. Okay, right? Then comes, this is also look ahead feature, right? Okay, then comes your safety frame, where you can put your safety frame accordingly. You can set this setting, how much look ahead you need. You can feed in minutes. Some ECDIS it is in nautical miles also, and how much safety of margin you want to keep on the port side and the starboard side. According to, you can set that depending on the factors which we have just discussed. Okay, and these are your safety contour, safety depth, right? And shallow contour, which you can also set depending on your draft, tide, UKC policy, etc.